Hi, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. Thank you for your time this morning. Let me set the stage a little bit. About a year ago, in March of last year, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching television. And on TV is a congressman conducting a town hall. He's from New Jersey. And the subject of the town hall is the Obamacare repeal. The congressman wanted to repeal it, and it was clear from the short clip that they had on television that the constituents in the audience were having none of it. It was a shout fest. So, well, this is kind of interesting. Let me go onto YouTube and see a bit more context what happened. So I watched this 90-minute town hall. It was, to say the least, a disaster. First of all, the congressman broke rule number one when you're having a town hall or any other meeting where you're taking questions from the audience. What's rule number one? Your assistant holds the microphone and you ask the question and you get it back. Well, a constituent got the microphone this time and he wasn't about to let go. Ranting and raving. It was almost like the loudest person in the room could win. When the guy finally took a breath, the congressman said, "Hey, listen, I thought you did as good as a job as you could possibly do. I understand, sir, where you are coming from. I really do. I know you feel strongly about this issue and I get it. And I know that many people in the room here feel the same way as you do. But what you need to understand is I represent a lot of people. Districts now are 750,000 people large. And many people on the other side of the hill feel a very different way. Oh, and that just set the guy off again and he was ranting and raving." But it got me thinking, is that the best we could do for discourse? Is there a better way at all? So I spent the first 10 years of my career as a management consultant. So I went back to the consulting days and am I pushing the wrong way? So let me try here. There we go. Okay. So I did some research and you can see some of the statistics here. I'll just go through them quickly. But Pew, for example, you heard earlier this morning, only 19% of the people trust their government. Only 19%. And election officials, they're all in it for themselves. In fact, more than half of Americans think, I could do a better job if you put me into Congress. Maybe they're right. There you go, if you could do that for me. Here's what I think is the fundamental problem. When you have single member, single district government like we do, it's a two-party system. Third parties just don't win. Libertarians had their best chance in the 2016 election. They thought winning would be 10%. They didn't even get that. It's a two-party system. But here's the problem. Pity the individual voter. They've got their issues that they care about. This is purely illustrative. And the Democrats stake out a position and the Republicans stake out a position. And somebody looks at that and says, well, you know, I guess I'm a Democrat, but there's a few things I don't like over here. Somebody else looks at that and says, well, I guess I'm a Republican. There's a few things I don't like over here. Very few people slot into one column or the other column. What's the voter to do when you're a little bit on both sides? It ends up being selecting the lesser of two evils. So I started scratching my head and says, what makes us go vertical on this? Why can't we go horizontal? Next slide, thanks. Maybe a new approach that allows voters to select candidates knowing that they're going to better represent their district. My district in San Diego is a classic purple district. It's 1/3 of the voters are registered as Republicans, 1/3 of the voters are registered as Democrats, and 1/3 are no party preference. So it's not a red, it's not a blue, it's purple, I call it. Yet, when the Democrat who sits there today in Congress, he votes with the Democrats almost all the time. And in fairness, I'm sure if there was a Republican in that state, he would vote with the Republicans almost all the time. It's almost straight up and down party all the time. How about someone who can represent us, I don't know if I got, yeah, and be more responsible and more responsive to us, the voters? And can we have constructive engagement instead, not just who can shout the loudest? And most importantly, I think a lot of people are upset at the amount of money that drives politics. Can we help solve that problem? Third parties, they don't work, but there could be a new way. So next slide, if you could. So I did some polling, and a concept that I'm calling direct representative democracy seems to be resonating with a lot of people. I call it representative democracy because that's the government we live in. We vote for representatives and they represent us in Congress. But direct meaning we're going to have a bigger say in how our representative behaves. Here's the conclusions I found from my surveys. Voters are not satisfied with the information they get. They don't think their interactions with their representatives are very well. Has anybody here ever called their congressional representative? What was that experience like? People I've talked to says extremely disappointing. It's hard to get through. If you do, you don't know if they're listening to you. Maybe an intern takes a note and says, thank you for your opinion. Great. Voters want to learn more. They think they should be engaged, and they are engaged. And they want a representative who thinks of issues and wants to represent the community. They want them to represent the community the way it is. So here's just a little bit of data. I'll go through it quickly. I know it's hard to read, but look, they don't like their representatives now. Do they help me understand the issues? No. Do they help me understand how they affect me personally? No. Do they take my input? No. Do they communicate with me very well? No. But I want to learn. When asked, hey, it's my responsibility as a citizen to learn about the issues and to have my own opinions on laws that will affect me. Oh yeah, I need to know that. And hey, I want my representative to provide me information to help me understand. Absolutely, overwhelmingly. And I want him to help me understand how it affects me personally, overwhelmingly. Should I be engaged? Do I want to be engaged? I asked, hey, it's my responsibility as a citizen to be engaged in the political process. I thought maybe some people would say, it's not my job. I got 9 to 5 to do. Let's just give him a representative and he'll run it. Nope, that's not what they want. It's my responsibility. How about, I just don't have enough time. I don't like politics. That was a big no here. No, I want to make the time. I want to understand, and I want to have opinions that are listened to. So here perhaps is one that really surprised me. Voters want their representatives to vote on an issue-by-issue basis. It came at this every way I could think of. But here's just a few examples. I want my representatives to vote according to what I and the voters want, 85+%. And I want them to take my input. Alternatively, you could say, well, what about having them vote with personal views or have them vote with the party? It's a team sport. We've got to stay together to get stuff done. No, they didn't like that. They want the representatives to vote with the community. So here's a concept called direct democracy within our representative republic. A new politician, one who says, I'm going to listen to my constituents. I'm going to ask them for their views, and rather than just think only in party platform, I'm going to vote in Congress consistent with their views. What they tell me to work on is going to be my priority. Individual issue by issue, and not be swayed by special interests. Ultimately, the people hold the power in this kind of world. So just a little bit more data. How could we get this done? People have said, well, can you give me a website where I can vote on specific issues or use an app? And again, how should Congress vote? A majority said vote the way their district wants them to vote. So that got me thinking there's a business opportunity here, and this is where blockchain comes in. Created an app and a program and a system called VoterFi, smash of voter and verify. So what it is, a web-based, mobile-friendly internet platform where essentially a candidate or a sitting official has a platform to ask questions and to provide information. Could be any question you want, provide any information you want. I'm thinking of it being applied as issues of the day, where you want constituent opinions. Things like what's been in the news lately, gun control. Should we ban semi-automatic weapons? Or maybe even something more general. Should we have tighter gun control? Provide some information. Initially what I call CNN headline news. If somebody wanted just the main, elevator pitch. People who favor greater gun control say, 30,000 people a year die from guns, they get in the hands of the wrong people, we have terrible mass shootings, we need more gun control. Those who say no, say we have a Second Amendment right, Supreme Court's ruled that it's an individual right to protect our families. If you're mentally stable, not a criminal, maybe with some training and background checks, you too should be able to get a gun to protect your family. That's essentially the argument on both sides. How about some more information, links to the best op-eds and research that say, here's why we need more. Or over here, links to op-eds and research. Here's why we maybe don't need more. Then at the bottom of the page, there's a couple buttons. Click on vote yes for more gun control or no. Just like you're voting for an individual for office, but instead you're voting on an issue. So the system, you need to be registered in the district, check against the voter rolls, do some ID check, things like can we find in databases that the telephone number you gave me matches your records. The email address, has that been associated with you in the past? At least as good as we do for voter verification check today, but probably a lot better. And then make sure you own those assets. Something we've done many, many times. Send a text, you get your code back, confirm your email address. Now you're registered on the system. 1 minute maximum, just need your name, address, and then we check against the voter registration rolls. Are you registered to vote? If you're not, send you to Secretary of State's site, please register. If you are, then now you're a registered voter in the system. One person, one vote. Change your vote at any time. Questions don't go away. Right now, you don't have too much, you say, hey, this is terrible school shootings, yes, more gun control, disappear. Later, you think about it, say, I'm not so sure, take it away. Or go no, or yes, no. You can sit here and click back and forth all the time. Every time you vote, it erases the prior one and puts the new one in, so it's like the last vote. Many of you have been in a room like this where you've given those clickers, right? It's your last click that matters. Change your vote anytime. Once I get a critical mass, maybe 1,000 people or something, display the results. But completely confidential, secure it on a blockchain database, so that anybody can look and say, oh, on this question, right now, the people that voted, 60% one way, 40% the other way. And it can change and you get real-time updates. All based on public key cryptography and blockchain protected database. As I started building the business plan and doing a little bit of research, I find out there is a big undercurrent here, particularly elsewhere around the world, but also in the States. Here's just some of the organizations that are trying in one way or another to facilitate more engagement from the voters and more responsiveness from their elected representatives. I came to the conclusion last fall that the best thing I could do was eat my own cooking. So I'm running for US Congress in California's 52nd district. It's San Diego and North San Diego. I've lived in San Diego for 20 years, grew up in the Midwest. I've had 3 careers. I was an international management consultant for 10 years. I worked in the energy industry for 15 years where I pioneered utility scale solar plants, the big solar plants, built the largest in the world 3 or 4 times over. And then 5 years as a tech entrepreneur, worked with your previous speaker, talked about the IoT. Worked with a company called Bitstew Systems, which created analytics for the industrial IoT and sold that to GE back in 2016. And now running for Congress on this platform of direct representative democracy. Different ways you can frame it, but my commitment to the people is that essentially you get a veto on my votes. I'm not abdicating my responsibility. I'm gonna do all the hard work in Congress. I'm gonna do the caucusing on the committees, help with draft legislation, keep a check on the power of the presidency. And when it comes to issues on my website, I'm gonna have my view behind a button. It says Mike's View. When you want it, you click on it, I'll tell you why I think you should go one way or the other. But at the end of the day, if I get enough participation, I can't be swayed by just 500 people, but if I get a significant amount of participation and they disagree with me on an issue, at the end of the day, the people win. And I'm gonna vote with the people. So think about what this does for a minute to money in our government. Right now, all of that pressure is on one person in Congress, or 435 members each individually, right? Imagine when you're sitting in your office as a Republican congressman and the leader comes in with the head of the NRA and says there's a vote next week on the gun bill and this is the way you're gonna vote, right? That's a ton of pressure. What if instead you say, well, hang on, let me just check here. You know, the people of San Diego feel differently. Maybe I may even be with you. I grew up in Michigan. I first started shooting when I was 12 years old. I might be with you, but why don't we take all of the money that you were about to lay on me? Why don't we go to San Diego? Let's get all your members to sign on and vote in a certain way. And all then the debate and the lobbying happens in the district instead of in Washington. At the bottom of the page of every question with information is a chat room. That is moderated. The system itself provides for, when you vote, confidentiality and security through crypto and blockchain. So even I won't know how you voted. I will know you voted or not, and I'm going to try to keep hitting you if you haven't voted. I say, hey, I want your opinion. But I won't be able to tell how you voted. All the keys are generated locally, and it's masked, so that by the time it gets written to the database, everyone can trust that it's accurate. And the code means that only one person, one vote, they were registered, etc. But it's been anonymized through the crypto and then on the blockchain, so anybody can add it up and see where the votes are. And hey, look, we're not electing any individual here. It's more like a sophisticated poll, but it's one that the constituents can trust is accurate and is confidential. Completely changes the game for government. This is getting a lot of traction. Just completed some polls last week. The primaries are going to be in June 5th. In California, we have a top 2 primary. So the top 2 go to the general election based on the primary. And I'm looking very good. I get an 85% or so conversion rate when I talk to people. Some of the comments I get back are things like, isn't this the way it's supposed to work? I thought that's what representatives do. It's in the darn word, represent the people. One example I've been giving lately is the tax bill that passed a few months ago. Don't know if you know this, but there's 12 states in the United States where the Senate is split. Every state, of course, gets 2 senators. California has 2 Democrats, others have 2 Republicans. There's 12 where there's 1 Republican, 1 Democrat. When it came time to vote, every Democrat voted no on the tax bill, and every Republican voted yes in these 12 states. They both have the same constituents. They both can't be following the people. One of them is saying, I'm with you, and the other one's saying, no, screw you. Well, we know what happens, really. This was a Democratic-sponsored bill, Republican-sponsored bill, so all the Republicans were in favor of it. And the Democrats felt they had to be against it, not because of the issue itself, but it's blue versus red. That's the system we have. They just had to be against it because they think it's best for them in the 2018 elections. Imagine what would happen if we had 5, 10, or 20 people with this kind of platform in Congress, where they aren't swayed by necessarily special interests or the media or anybody else. I think it could be a game changer. So that's what I have. I think I've got 1 minute left. Any questions? Let's start here. We'll take 2 minutes questions, and then we got the woman right here.
Are you in LinkedIn?
Yes.
Hold it more. I won't go on a rant, I promise. So can this support a more localized federal government, as in, or are people in California essentially going to have a bigger say? Like, for example, the example you use, gun control. Why should people in Chicago, where there's a problem with gun control, have a say in what laws?
Right, okay, so the link of who can vote and who has a say. I've made this platform available to anyone. I hope I can get some of you in this room excited enough to help implement this. Many ways we can work together. One is you can help work on this voter fight system with me. You can help with my campaign and help me get elected if what you heard today was interested. My website is allmanforcongress.com. Allman Brothers Band, allmanforcongress.com. It can apply anywhere. So I've been approached now by mayors who said, hey, guy in Carlsbad, California, said that I'm getting all kinds of people calling me in, and I'd like to know really where they are. I don't want to run a poll. This system sounds great. People want to get heard, have them come in here. So we can work at the local level. I'm doing it at my congressional district level. The city of Chicago could do it. Senators could do it. President Trump could do it if he wants to. I don't think he wants to.
Great idea, great concept. How do you see something like this working with maybe a more intentional voter registration system as well, to get more people actually involved in the process?
I hope that this has a very positive impact, and I expect it will when it takes off on voter registration. When neighbors start talking about, hey, whatever they're talking about, and I went on here, oh, what is that? Oh, I wanna do that. Oh, wait a minute, I can't, I'm not registered. So we wanna make it as easy as possible. I think it'll drive voter participation up and voter registration up. I think it could be the key and do better than anybody else. Do we have one more? Or two more? Just
Okay,
keep
no,
on
hold
time
on.
here.
We'll have to do like a last one, but then we can go right into the break time.
Okay.